The views and opinions expressed in the Golden Boot podcast are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Golden Boot podcast as a whole.
Y'all ready to get rolling? Quiet on the set.
Go, Breeze. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, man? Big four, man. Big four, man. Shout out Big Lotto, man. Shout out the other big, you know. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Look, clickbait, everything I do keep going viral. Louis on my leather, got my laces throwing spirals. Rappers, they been washed, I got them throwing in the towel. Chirping on them net, them birds dead, just like owl. Know that I'm a star, cause that was Simon said coward. I would never cheat, cause you and I my only vowel. Rappers, they be sweet, they in the patch, I know they sour. Know I put some on, they watch my movements like I'm bow.
The beat go off? Okay. Whoa.
Rip me out the plastic, need my cash and make it fit gymnastic. Drop my tape, then blast it, got them spashing, make them trip like acid. RRS, I'm taxing, killing fashion, I'm a drip assassin. Did you think before you tweet? Did you stretch before you reach? Did you check before you creep? Can't buy respect, it ain't that cheap, I gotta eat. Ain't break a sweat, review that chef like I was Keith. We got Van Leaf, that's what I stress, if they suggest we can't repeat.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Golden Boot. It's your boy Boo Bow. I got a special guest in the building. He'll be joining us shortly. But man, I want to say happy Wednesday, hump day to everybody. We got a very exciting day, a very good show coming up. Gonna talk some of this baseball, talk about the regional, super regionals, let's see how we think our Tigers gonna do. Talk a little Zion, I guess a little bedroom talk, I guess you could say. Is Zion going for an AVN award? I don't know. But I tell you what. Zion might. Never mind. No comment. Zion said, if you see me on the hub, mind your business. But let's go ahead and get started, man. Let's first off, as always, man, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors over at betonline.ag. We'll be back in 1 minute. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your sports information, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds, lines, and player injury reports for this year's NBA and NHL playoffs. BetOnline is always your sports information headquarters. This season, we have you covered for all your sports wagering needs. We have everything from NBA, NFL, MLB, and NHL to golf, tennis, UFC, and boxing. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games that you can play right from your home. Head on over to betonline.ag today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Be sure to use the promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey, you know we had to bring him back, talk about baseball. Got our man Julian, the baseball dude, back in the building. Julian, welcome back, man. How you doing tonight?
Good, and yourself, cool?
Man, I'm good. I'm good, man. I ain't gonna complain. I don't know if y'all can hear me. I ain't gonna complain though. Oh, they was clapping twice for you, Julian. You just that good. Just that good. But man, welcome back, man. It was a great, well, for some people, for some teams, it was a great weekend of college baseball. A lot of surprises, a lot of home runs, a lot of offense. I'll say that. I do want to start here, and this is not to pick at you. Miami. Last year, they had a lead against Ole Miss, lost the lead, and then ended up getting bounced. Excuse me. You kind of saw that again this year in that game against Texas. They had a lead, pretty decent lead, and then one inning is completely blown up.
Gave up a 9 spot.
and they went from it was 6-1 to like 10-6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Miami, I hope this doesn't come true this year. Miami lost to Ole Miss. Ole Miss won the title. In basketball, Miami's men lost to UConn. UConn won the title. Miami's women lost to LSU. LSU women won the title. I'm just hoping Texas don't win the title.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Texas doesn't either. But the good side of it is Stanford is 7-0 when they host the Super Regional. So
Okay, that is some. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Six, count them. Six SEC teams make it to supers. Um, at least two of them are guaranteed to go to Omaha because you've got LSU versus Kentucky, and then you've got Florida versus South Carolina. What do you think about the matchups though? Going into super regionals.
I think the matchups are good. It's something that they're surprising. I think the surprising one is going to be the Oral Roberts versus Oregon because they're like the sleeper picks. They weren't the one, especially Oral Roberts. That's the number 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shocking the Stillwater. Oregon going up to Tennessee, going to Vandy, beating Vandy as well, and then playing Xavier, beating Xavier twice. I think that's the exciting one. But I think everyone else is like either we predicted it or it wasn't like a shocker. I think the shocker maybe one of the hosts was Indiana State
Right.
as they won their regional. I think we all picked either Iowa or UNC to get out of that region, but they won. But I think everyone else is kind of surprised, like how TCU's playing. I think 7 out of the 6 games they scored more than 10 runs. The only one that was kind of close was the second time when they played Kansas State when they won 6-4 or 6-3, and they only had 3 hits that game. So that was kind of surprising. But every night, like from the tournament to on, like they played, they scored more than 10 runs. Like it's kind of crazy, like with the run that they have.
Yeah. I think the one that kind of shocked me was Virginia. I fully expected East Carolina to come out of that bunch, or even Oklahoma. But yeah, that one shocked me.
I think Duke beating Coastal Carolina. I think that one's the
That's
shock.
another one. Yeah, that's another one. I'm not surprised Southern Miss made it. I am surprised that Auburn got bounced in 2 games.
2 games. And then the way how they lost too, the first one they extra innings couldn't score a run. Then the second game is a back and forth, and then Southern Miss just like took the lead, and then they're playing catch up. I think in the 6th and the 7th they had like chances to like cut the deficit into 2 or 1, and they couldn't cash them in. And then Southern Miss the following innings will hit another home run or doubling the gap, scoring the runs to extend the lead. Where it's just like Auburn just couldn't come back from it.
Right. Yeah, Penn is the first. I think I forgot what they said. The first Ivy League to beat a SEC team, or something like that. It was the first win over an SEC team for Penn. It was something crazy for them to beat.
An Ivy League.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
just,
as SEC team, and it's rare because like you usually don't see it as much as well too. You usually think that you see like the 1 seed usually advance, and you don't see like a 4 seed go for the upset.
right.
But we saw it twice this year. I mean, in this regional, we saw it with Oral Roberts. They beat Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State was another 2 because they got bounced right away too. 2 games in a barbecue.
Yeah, it was even Arkansas getting beat the way they did. That was just ooh.
And especially, I think the first game was 20-5 to TCU, and then they put up a better fight the second game, but still, I think it was 14 or 12-4.
Yeah.
That last game.
Yeah, you almost kind of feel bad for the Bacon guys. Not really, but you kind of do. But what is the most intriguing matchup in the Supers for you?
I want to say it's going to be Southern Miss and Tennessee because those are both bubble teams. Well, not bubble teams, but both had chances to host it at their park. Southern Miss obviously got theirs. So I think those are the hot teams. Like you want to see, like for me personally, I want to see Tony V get there, show them like, hey, like after a rebound year to some people, I made it to the Super. I made it again to Omaha. But you also want that feel good story with Southern Miss as their coach of their last dance, like to get them to at least Omaha. So that one, I think another one is Florida versus South Carolina. You want to see how they are. If South Carolina didn't end pretty well and they got into this tournament, they start off pretty well. Florida was kind of on the ropes. They lost to Texas Tech the second game. Had to go again versus UConn. They beat UConn, played against Tech a doubleheader. They won, and then they won the game on Monday. So you want to see how that affects Florida. Threw more arms than what you wanted to versus South Carolina, where they just got the 3 wins and you're done. But I also want to see Texas versus Stanford because Texas traveled to the East Coast, went back to Austin, then Austin to the West Coast. Like at some point, does fatigue just hit them and just
Right. Shout out to our good man Paul's Hub. He with the fact he said the SEC was 9-0 versus Ivy League in the tournament, 9-1 now thanks to Penn and Auburn. Yeah, so that one was like I said, it was stunning to the way Auburn lost because Auburn had gotten so hot. But just listening to what you said, some of these intriguing matchups. Southern, like you said, Southern Miss. I'm pulling for Southern Miss. I've got a little soft spot for them right now. But yeah, and then you talked about Florida and South Carolina. Florida, although they won, their bracket, it feels like it was a lot of struggle wins.
Like they only beat FAMU 3-0 with Jack Clown
Right.
pitching, so it was kind of surprising there.
Yeah.
But it shows how good FAMU is.
Yeah,
and they almost pulled it off against UConn too. Just that last inning just exploded on them.
Right. Yeah, it was 3-0. Then it was 8-2, and then they lost to Tech 4-5, and it just seemed like they couldn't get going until they actually had needed to. Now they go against South Carolina. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was the first season series of the season. I think South Carolina swept them. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think they beat them one of the games 13-3. So it was just like,
yeah, it's just, and now they, what I'm saying, granted, postseason play for anybody in the sport is always different. You're never playing the same team that you played the first time. And those of you sports enthusiasts kind of understand what I'm saying. But what do you think about South Carolina this time around going against Florida in the
I think it's gonna be different. I don't think you're gonna see a 13-3 win. I think most of these games it's gonna be close. If it is a blowout, it's gonna be like towards the end where just that one inning just screws everything up for the other team. But I think like if for like especially Duke versus Virginia, South Carolina versus Florida, and LSU versus Kentucky, you're gonna see those games like close.
Yeah.
Because you already have the book on them. You're already gonna watch the film. You're gonna see like what they do for you, did against you. See how they did in the tournament as well. You just gotta see how they did.
Yeah, and I was wrong. They actually played. It was later in the season when they played Florida and swept them. But they swept them, like you said, 13-3. That was, of course, a run rule. Then they beat them 5-2. Then they beat them 7-5. And that was just in April. So again, it's going to be intriguing, in my opinion, to see how they bounce back, playing them again now. In the tournament, does that factor into saying the psyche of playing a team who basically swept you?
And then the environment too. Like I know it's different, but now it's gonna be packed as well. Like where the mistake is gonna come down to haunt you, whereas the others like okay, like we'll get it. Another one, it's gonna be like Apollo 2 saying to Rocky and Rocky 3, there is no tomorrow for some of these teams.
Yeah. Me and Ant actually talked about this before. I think that you got to why not you to have to, but it should be I'm trying to think of how to play it. Right now, you swap who's the home team between games. I think that Ant mentioned, and I actually thought it was a good idea, that the home team should remain the home team the entire series, because that's the whole point of having home field advantage. Granted, they will be in South Carolina, and the fans can get rowdy, get rambunctious, and stir things up. But at the same time, who would not want to have that extra bottom half just in case?
No, I think that it's also not fair for the athletes. You worked your whole season from February all the way to now to get that home field advantage where you don't have to travel, go into those hostile environments as well. So it's not fair for them like to go be the visiting team, but you're in the same dugout, just wearing different uniforms. Like to me, it doesn't make sense. And I think also too, like I know it's like minor, but like the music, like why can't you have your walk up songs? You're playing at home. Like just do what the SEC does. Everybody send your walk up songs and play for both teams.
Yeah. Paul's up. He actually he always with the correction. Appreciate you, Andrew. He says South Carolina swept Florida mid-April in Columbia. He said, funny enough, that was the last South Carolina's last series win in the conference. So that's fun. What's up, this old vet? What's good, man? But that is funny that's the last one. Man, let's talk. I'm let's stop talking about these bums. No, I'm just kidding. Man, I do want to talk about this LSU Kentucky series. LSU beat Kentucky in the regular season, 2-1. They honestly should have swept, but now they've got Kentucky coming in town. They've only got to win 2 games. They've got 3 games to win 2 games, and weather may be an issue again. Because we saw that affect last week's game. It turned out right for LSU, but it's still factored in.
No, yeah, like with weather, you're not. It's also it happened in Miami Regional too, where it kind of delayed some of the starts. So you're just wondering, like, can you get this guy in? Like I know I saw like Skeens was pitching against Tulane. Turned out to be the best decision that Jay Johnson made because he pitched the full game, didn't have to use your bullpen, and he didn't have to start against Oregon where you start and then I think it was like an hour delay, or how long was the delay?
If I'm not mistaken, it was like an hour and a half, maybe 2-hour delay.
So basically, you would have lost him either way, just throwing
Yeah.
like maybe like 10, 15 pitches.
Yeah. He threw. If I'm now, Ty Floyd threw 71 pitches, but that was still 3 innings, only 3 innings. So,
And I remember they got on Ty Floyd right away too. Oregon State was actually winning, so you could say the weather helped out LSU, turned the momentum back to them.
Yeah. Then coming out of the break, LSU gave up a home run, and then they kind of started getting the momentum back. So yeah, I agree with you there. Looking back at the schedule when LSU played Kentucky, the first game they ruled them in 8. Then they lost the second game 13-10, and then they won the last game 7-6. That one ironically was delayed by rain. So
Now I remember I saw the Paul Skeens, the one that they won on Friday. That was the most he ever given up during that time. So that he gave up 5 runs. The second one, I think you guys were winning, and then you guys lost the lead, and then they took it, and then Kentucky was winning on the Sunday game, and then they blew the lead, and you guys took. So I mean, it was evenly matched throughout the season. I think it was evenly matched. I think it's going to be a dogfight. You just want to see how are they going to react in Kentucky, because they went 7 games basically in their original because they had to come out from the losers bracket. Well, at LSU we only played 3 games, but the delay because of the Sam Houston and Tulane game kind of pushed everything back. So you technically finished on the same day, but you lose less pitchers.
Yeah, I'm looking here to see who was the pitcher for LSU during that game. That was Ty Floyd. So Ty Floyd started the pitching in that game. Then Griffin Herring, then Blake Money. But you're absolutely right. Kentucky basically blew it open in that second game. They scored in the 7th inning. It was they scored 5 then, and LSU never recovered after that. They scored 3 in the 8. LSU scored 3 in the 8 to kind of get it to within 2, but then Kentucky scored 1 in the 9th and ended up winning by 3 runs. So I do think the key to this one is LSU had 3 errors in that game. You got to be error free. Got to be error free. I understand everybody wants to see schemes and hey, hold them for this game, play them this game. I'm going to trust Jay to do what he needs to. Somebody even kind of made a suggestion that I thought was interesting. They were saying, but it made sense. Start someone else just in case it rains, and then bring Skeens in after that to complete. But you run the risk of um, just trying to measure out how long, because let's say you bring Skeens in and all of a
The
sudden it
rain
starts rains
comes.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and it's not even the rain; it's the lightning that really causes the delays.
Mm-hmm.
So
30-minute delay for each strike. And then
correct.
also too, we haven't known if Paul Skeens ever pitched out of the bullpen before his college career. So
That's true.
that energy that he's gonna have is gonna be different.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
too, and I think also the big key is who's gonna get to the bullpen first.
Mm,
I think if you get into their bullpen first, that's determines who's gonna win.
yeah. I wonder if LSU's going to do the same strategy that they did against Oregon State in the game two of the regional, where uh, after the weather delay, instead of bringing out a normal bullpen guy, they brought out their third starter and let him, take kind of carry the most of the rest of the way before bringing in the closer. That's something else that I think is a interesting strategy that we just kind of have to keep an eye on.
Mm-hmm. I think
Um,
so too. I think also too. Now, like I know Monday LSU Twitter was all up in the board because you guys won, but the report Wes Johnson's going to UGA now wasn't
yeah,
perfect timing by the reporter, but I
yeah.
understand.
Pete Thamel with the BS. Uh, a lot of people kind of called him out for that. I think it was. So I'll say this. Something I was told when we first started doing uh pod. I mean, doing the pod and doing the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know it's not always about being first, but being right. And although Pete Tham was right, you do want to give courtesy to uh, letting coaches make their announcements or making kids make their announcements with commitments. There
Mm-hmm.
are times I know people's announcements. I know, we've been told, hey, I'm gonna commit. No, okay, cool. That's congratulations. When are you going to commit? Um, so we can have something ready. So as soon as you commit, we can post it. But I hate that let me be first, get the attention thing,
Mm-hmm.
because
He basically took the momentum what LSU had instead of talking about the win, going to super regionals. It's talking about well, Jay Johnson year 3 is going to have another pitching coach.
yeah,
That took with, and it's not fair for the student athletes, the managers, the bat girls, the ball girls, anybody who works in LSU baseball. That's not fair to them because if you look about it, a year ago we were on Twitter Spaces asking like, what are we gonna do with the pitchers? Because basically, you guys were at Game 7. You guys were arms away from going to the Super Regional. And
mm-hmm.
I remember because there's heated arguments about what was happening, like this and that, and to see like a team effort joy taking away because a report is just
Yeah, yeah. Um, now, Andrew Martin Paul's Hub says that Skeens did close at times at Air Force, so it's not unfamiliar territory. So okay, that's cool. It's good to know. Uh, Glad to hear it. So that is, I guess, another avenue to explore. But man, let's see here. Something else that came out, man. The Golden Spikes finalists.
mm-hmm.
Uh, LSU lands 2 on this list. You got Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz. Hey, give me 1 second. I'm sorry about Hey, sorry about that. And I
No,
popped
you're
up his
good.
aunt. I popped up his aunt, not me. But back to the Golden Spikes, man. LSU got Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, and then the third is actually from Florida. It's the God,
Jack
Cal-
Callion.
there you go, Jack Callion. I was going to call. I don't know. Want to call him Cal Jackson. I don't know. Okay. But yeah, Jack Callion. So all three SEC. Who is your pick? And you don't have to get the home team favorite here.
No, I voted earlier. I voted for Dylan Cruz. I think he's the one. Even though, yes, I know Paul Skeens, he deserves it, rightfully so. I think it's between them. It's 1A, 1B. But I think Cruz, because he means more to the team. I'm not saying that Paul Skeens doesn't, but you kind of see the team goes as Dylan Cruz goes.
Okay. So you say Paul Cruz. I mean Paul's. Dylan Cruz. I actually picked Paul Skeens, just simply because Dylan Cruz has been phenomenal for LSU for years, and he definitely deserves it. I just feel like at times this season we felt like we only had one really good pitcher to
Mm-hmm.
get us through, to carry us through. And then he kind of carried that load until everybody got back where they need to be. So
No, he did. I think he also, I mean, you really can't go wrong. I think they picked Jack Leon. I think he deserves it as well, but I think it's more for his offensive side than what his
that's
pitching was.
yeah. Which ironic, everybody was excited. They thought we were going to see Skeens do the same thing. He got the LSU, and they were like, we need you to do one thing and one thing only.
I think he's just too valuable. You can't
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't throw him
yeah. Get him
because
hurt, and,
he's one hit on the wrist for being out 4 to 6 weeks, and then that was your A starter too. So just imagine how many games he would have missed.
right. Man, let me ask you this before we move on, talk basketball and stuff. Tell me about, man, what else is going on MLB?
MLB. So I mean, we talked about it earlier. There's cancellations today between the White Sox and New York,
Mhm.
and Philly and Detroit because of the weather from Canada, the wildfires. Makes it seem like there's air filters or there's filters on the photos that we've been seeing, but no, it's true. But I mean, in MLB right now, the A's kind of surprised the Pirates. They scored 7 runs today. They won 9-5, and then yesterday they beat the Pirates again 11-1. So the A's, like they're an up and down team. But I think for baseball right now, I think it's good so far, especially at the stolen base that they're going up. I think a guy that they're not talking about is in Miami is Luis Ariza. He
Mhm.
hit 401 yesterday. I don't know what he went today against the Royals, but we haven't seen anybody hit 400 since Ted Williams. So I mean that's an eye you can keep an eye on, but I mean let's go back until September to kind of look at it.
Mhm.
But he got off to that fast start. Like that's
Right.
someone that you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, I guess I hadn't got to the point where I'm watching uh MLB like that yet. It's
Mm-hmm.
usually somewhere in between somewhere in the summer. It's probably right around All-Star break when I actually really, I mean, I'll keep up with scores and stuff, but it's usually around then when I actually watch MLB and start keeping up. Just to see who's going to potentially be in the playoff race. And I also mentioned my Cardinals aren't doing well, so I'm just kind of I'm boycotting. That-
No, it's kind of sad. It's sad because like the Cardinals is a good run
Mm,
organization. Just to see them
yeah.
struggle, especially right now they're in Texas too. Like they're struggling against Texas, but for Texas, they received some bad news. They lost Jacob DeGrom, who has Tommy
Yeah.
John. So
Yeah, I just saw that. Yeah. Man. But man, let's talk some basketball. Right now, NBA finals, you got Miami. They're down 7, I think, last I checked. It might be let's see what it was, 7. They're down 11 now.
no,
It's 59-48 with 9:47 left in the third. Um, But man, the story of the day, the stories of the day had nothing to do with the NBA finals when it comes to basketball. I'm gonna start with the one that's not as fun to talk about. The Suns waived CP3, or they said they haven't waived him yet. They said that it's looking like they've informed him that he will be waived. A lot of speculations on where he could go next. Some fans in New Orleans said, "Hey, bring him back, bring him home." And CP3 actually just went on the Pivot podcast and explained why he left New Orleans. I don't know. Did you see that clip?
No, I didn't get a chance. I wanted to see it, but I didn't get a chance to.
Yeah. So, and I'll give you a synopsis. You still should see it to hear in his own words. But he's basically stated that they would come into the locker room, like ownership, and basically be like, "Hey, the team is moving. The team is moving to Kansas City. The team is moving somewhere in California. The team is moving." And he said, and it was constantly like that. And it just got to a point where it was too much for him. And said, so that's the reason why he left. He said he didn't want to leave New Orleans, but he's like, they didn't have good ownership at the time. So that was truly the reason why that they left. And you hate to hear it, because that is, I'm not going to say tarnished, but it did make put a bad taste in a lot of Pels fans mouth, and they've really not liked CP3 since then. But man, also the other news, I know you saw this one.
I saw this. The memes were funny.
Yeah, Zion Williamson announced yesterday that it came out, they had a gender reveal. He's going to be a soon to be dad. He's going to be a girl dad, man. So congratulations for that.
Salute to him.
Not everybody was happy about the news. Not everybody was happy.
That's a sticky situation.
Somebody let me know if you had Mariah Mills talking trash about Zion on your bingo card, because I definitely didn't have that one. Mariah Mills came out and told everything.
She let out the dirty laundry.
Oh, all the dirty laundry. Hey, you spit in I let you spit in my mouth. I let you what she say? You supposed to got me pregnant. I was letting you hit it raw. I was like, whoa, I'm talking about she was letting it all out. And then on top of all that, come to find out, the young lady that is with child appears to be a adult in the adult industry herself. And the headline I saw was alleged squirter. Zion and alleged squirter are expecting their first child, and it was just like, wow. I don't know what to say about Zion.
I think Zion has a couple, like yesterday and today was a pretty rough day, because we saw DeMar Hamlin on the field, and then a lot of people are saying, well, he's gotten it back before him and Michael Thomas, so it's just it's a bad day to be Zion these past 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, I think now we can all understand some of the reason why he didn't come back as fast. He's got weak legs, strong hips, but weak legs. Okay, all right, that's too much. But yeah, man, it's just I wonder how this is going to play out. How does this factor into him trying to return? This old vet said, how did we get on the topic of squirters? We started talking about Zion. This old vet, I don't know. I don't know if you're on Twitter, but it's been a field day. You get a chance, and it is safe to do it. Google Zion Williamson and all the stories. You'll see everything you need to see. Everything you need to see. So. But yeah, it's been interesting, man. That was just like the highlight of my day. So.
But you feel bad for, like, I know we talked about the CP3, but DeAndre Ayton, because Coach Vogel said the plans are we're going to keep him in the future. Then today you see CP3 and Ayton going to be a package deal. So it's just like, who's lying and who's not?
Yeah. That's I don't know, man. I wonder who's pulling that string. If that is that Vogel or what? Now I'm gonna ask you this. Let me get back to CP3. Where do you think he lands? Because a lot of people are saying LA so he can play with LeBron.
You would like to see LA with LeBron because he's the last banana boat guy that LeBron hasn't got to play with other than the
That's true.
Olympics.
That's true.
But a reunion to New Orleans would be nice. I mean, when I was little, I had the CP3 jersey, the New Orleans, the teal one. Like that was probably like my favorite one. Would be nice to see for him to come back, but I mean, at this point, this NBA, I think it's gonna, this offseason is gonna be different. Let's
Very.
just say the least, especially because Kyrie calling LeBron coming into Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, so to me, that's interesting.
Very different. Very different. Looking forward to that. Seeing the shake up and stuff this off season. Because wherever LeBron, if I'm pretty sure he's gonna stay, wherever he goes, it's going to be I guess you could say 1 year deal thing to try to see if he can find a place where him and Bronny can play together. Is
Mm-hmm.
basically what it's going to end up being. So
It's gonna be like those Heat deals with the role players they had. They just signed 1 year deals.
yeah,
But I think it's sad to say, but Bronny was the one who's gonna tell him where to go. Because I think if Bronny would have went somewhere else for college, and just say ASU or U of A, I think he would have gone to Phoenix or.
well, I don't think it matters about the college. I mean, I get what you're saying. I think realistically, the only reason Bronny, and I wasn't surprised he picked USC. Um, I think he probably should have looked at UCLA, but that's neither here nor there. I think the reason why he chose USC is to stay in LA so Brian can see and catch at least half of their games, during the season or whatever. So basically kind of keep them close, and I let's be honest, LeBron is his coach. LeBron is going to be the one who's going to train him and get him coached up. He'll have that 1 year under. Oh man, the guy from the USC guy who came from. I just remember from Lob City, but he's going to have that year under that coach to get tutelage and stuff. But we all know it's going to be LeBron all day, coaching them up.
It is. I mean, and also it's good to hear a different basketball voice other than from your father,
That's true too.
who's. I think also too, LeBron had to like LeBron. I don't think he has that much of a trust issue with everybody. Like his circle's really tight and stuff too. So for that coach to allow Bronny to get into the USC, that's a big story. So I think he trusts him. Like I think we're gonna see it like how Archie Manning was with Peyton. Like I'm just dad. Like I'm just here to cheer. Like you do what you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, man. Let's talk some football. Talk a little football before we get up out of here. We'll talk football, then we'll talk football. Josh Allen, man, he was named the Madden 2024 cover athlete. Does Josh Allen actually need a curse, or is he already cursed?
I think he's already cursed.
Nah, man. I think Josh Allen, man. We said it before on this show. I think he's already hit his peak. What we see is what we're gonna get out of Josh Allen.
I think it's not his fault that he has the curse. I think it's just the team that he plays on that has the curse. Like that's just them.
Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs visited the White House today, and in true fashion, they were being silly, and Mahomes had to run Travis Kelce off the microphone. So, but nah, man, it was good for him. That well deserved for him to visit the White House. But man, I'm gonna tell you one thing I am excited about, and I don't know if it's gonna happen. I'm not even a fan of Jacksonville Jaguars. Have you seen the plans for this state of the art stadium? Proposed with the inside and outside could cost $2 billion with a B dollars.
No, I think they need that renovation, even though it's stadium where it is. It's good now, but especially in Florida because you don't know it's hot and cold. And it's either gonna rain or it doesn't. Yeah. Especially during that summer, like the beginning of those months of the football, when it's hot, like you need that shade.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody was saying the way it's designed, and this was what really caught my attention. And I was like, okay, yeah. They said the way it's designed, they could host the Super Bowl. They could, football games, the Super Bowl, the Final Four, WrestleMania, soccer. It's just designed perfectly. You can hold any kind of event in there. So
Yeah, because the Khan family, I think they're part of the WW. I think it's WWE or they own one of them. It's either WWE or WWF or AW. One of those.
AEW maybe.
Yes,
A-
the Khan family owns one of those too. So
yeah, I think it's
I'm
I
gonna
think
see.
it is AEW. Yeah. Man, we were excited about EA Sports college football coming out. That is now in jeopardy. The College Football Players Association is organizing a boycott of the 2024 EA Sports college football game. Reportedly, EA Sports is only offering the players $500, and I say only, just simply because looking at how much that money can make. Um, my ideal, hear me out, people. My ideal, raise it to $1,000 and then give them a cut of the royalties.
I think so too. I think they should like sign like a little contract for how long you're in school. Like the money goes up and up. So by the
Mhm.
time you graduate, here's your check. Here you go.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, definitely. We got to get this game. It's been too long. Speaking of that, the last time they had this game was 2014. Denard Robinson was on the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So you had 2015, 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23 this year. I know y'all get the gist. Who's a cover athlete that you would have loved to see on the game during that time?
Lamar Jackson.
Mm,
I think
I
there's no
like it.
doubt. Just Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson. Um, it's bad to say this now. God, it's bad to say this now. Deshaun Watson. I would have loved to see Deshaun Watson on there. Yeah. Of course, everybody's going to say Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow definitely would have been on there. I would love to see Jamar Chase. Trying to think of who else during that time frame.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
Baker Mayfield.
Mhm. Um, CeeDee Lamb.
I think CeeDee Lamb would have been pretty cool too.
Yeah,
It's
CeeDee
very
Lamb.
rare that receiver that's on there. It's mostly like a quarterback thing.
Yeah.
I think the last receiver we saw was the Desmond Howard one. That was like 2006.
Yeah. Hold on. I actually had the list of athletes that were on there. Let me see who the let me see if I could cover athletes. Um, oh, here it is. This might help because man, I wish this thing would. I hate when you look something up and you saw it earlier, then you can't find it again. Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
All right, here it is. Um, so we had Danny Warfel, Charles Woodson, Ricky Williams, Sean Alexander, Chris Winkie, Joey Harrington, Carson Palmer, yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, Desmond Howard, Reggie Bush, uh, Jared Zabransky. And then '09, they had different covers for different platforms. They had Deshaun Watson on the PS2. I'm sorry, Deshaun Jackson on the PS2, Matt Ryan on the PS3, Owen Schmidt on the PSP. They had the Sparty, the mascot, on the Wii,
Mhm.
and Darren McFadden was on the 360.
I remember the Darren McFadden one.
Yeah, and on the in 2010, Brian Arakpo, which is a name I have not heard in a long time. But Brian Arakpo was on PS2, Brian Johnson on PS3, Mark Sanchez was on PSP, and Michael Crabtree was on the 360.
Oh yeah, the Crabtree. They used the one that he scored the one touchdown against
Yeah,
Texas.
yeah, and then 11, it went back to the one cover athlete. You had Tebow and 11, Mark Ingram and 12, RG3 and 13. Well, actually, in 13 you had RG3 and Barry Sanders. They had, I guess, the special edition, and then 14 was Denard Robinson.
Those
So
some good names.
yeah. So definitely, like I said, looking forward to hopefully that game will come back so we can get back on. I got some trash to talk. But I'm looking forward to it.
That one too, and they're making it realistic too. Like your players can enter the transfer portal, so
Transfer portal, NIL deals, recruiting, all that, man. It's gonna be. I'll tell you the funny story about it. I once did a creative player, right?
mhm.
Did a creative player, went through the the recruiting process, and he went to another school. I was like, I literally made you. How? But no, that's that game was far ahead of its time.
And I
Uh,
think it was funny too, like where you can be your like the coach for your season,
oh
and you
yeah,
have like the small schools like beating like the Alabamas and the
yeah,
Floridas to win the national championship.
yeah. Man, I learned a lot about different teams at that time. Like I said, I tell people all the time, I had Ball State undefeated for like 5 seasons. So
I think the game that was underrated was the mascot games.
yeah, it was. Um, man, good news for those of you who've been keeping up with the story. Um, Travis Rudolph was in a murder trial for basically it was he was pleading self defense. A woman he was dating, I think she found out he was talking to other women. He found out she was married. I know, crazy. She got into it. She assaulted him. He pushed her off of him, and I think he kind of pushed her down. She called her brothers or sent text to her brothers to basically say, "Come shoot his shit up." Direct quote: "Come shoot his shit up." And basically, a brother, so she told him what happened. Her brother said he's a dead man walking. Her brother and some friends, it was like 4 of them, came over. Um, got into it with him and his brother. He was ended up shooting. They said they didn't have a weapon. They actually did had a weapon on them. And ended up shooting and killing, I think, one of the friends. He was on trial for that. The trial was a complete mess. I don't want to get too political, but it leaves if you are able to watch it or catch up with it or see clips of it, it definitely does not help anyone who believes in the justice system. It was terrible, terrible, terrible. The I guess the star witness the um, for the prosecution was the ex-girlfriend, and she lied the entire time. They picked apart the lies. Um, Also, uh, with that, the lead detective, there were several things that happened. She missed the entire time, but ended up all that said and done. Travis Rudolph was found not guilty on all charges, and he's been on IG Live throwing a party the entire time. So, yeah, said he's looking forward to getting back to possibly playing football again, starting his career. So, good for him.
Hopefully, he
Um,
gets that chance.
yeah, hopefully he does. But man, we talk a little football real quick. Messi, Lionel Messi is leaving PSG and he is headed to the MLS Inter Miami team. So Messi will be in the States. So last two things. I want to say RIP to the WWE's Iron Sheik. He was a Hall of Fame wrestler. He passed away at the age of 81. But very, very well known. He was real big back in the day. Kids when wrestling was fake, but it was real.
Mhm.
People,
I think a lot of people know if you watch the show Young Rock, he comes out on it a lot.
yeah.
Basically, it was like helped raise Dwayne Johnson or the stuff that he's been telling him.
All right. End of the third quarter. Denver has stretched this thing out to 14-point deficit for Miami. It's 82-68. So, but man, I do want to say Vegas Knights are up 2-0 against the Florida Panthers. Vegas might be getting their first one pretty soon.
It is. I mean, also too. I mean, it's a lot of chippiness, a lot of fouls not being called the Florida Panthers' way. But I mean, also too, it was home court advantage too for the Vegas Knights. Let's see how they do cross trip into Florida. Let's see. Hopefully, they can make it a series, not a 4-0. I mean, I think both of these teams both deserve the championship. Let's just see who wins. Hopefully, it could be Florida. If it's not then Vegas. Then if I think Vegas deserves it.
Right.
I think they should have won the first one, the first year that they won that in existence. But we shall see.
Yeah. Well, man, Julian, I want to say appreciate you coming down, breaking down this baseball with us. And actually all the topics, but man, man, I truly, what I'm saying, love your insight for baseball, man. You make me a better baseball enthusiast.
No, thank you for having me, Pooh. I had fun today.
Hey, man, as always, man, Hey, we'll be back on Sunday with another episode of the Golden Boot. We'll be back tomorrow with HBCU Hour. Talking about the top HBCU football programs. We'll also have a special guest joining us tomorrow to talk about polls and preseason predictions and things like that. So, Julian, you got anything else before we get up out of here?
No, just let's enjoy this conference finals between hockey and basketball. Let's watch a good super regionals this weekend. Hopefully our teams make it. Reading for LSU. Go back, break the bar record that they sell for the Jello shots. Break it.
This show was presented by betonline.ag.
Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe on Twitter at Golden Boot. On Instagram at Golden Boot. On YouTube at The Golden Boot Pod. On Facebook at The Golden Boot Pod.
Golden Boot!